Let's imagine there is a 10-year-old boy and he's walking down the street, walking down the sidewalk in his neighborhood when he comes across a little girl, maybe half his age, and she's sitting on the sidewalk. She has a bag of candy in her hand, but she is crying. Now, what is that 10-year-old boy going to do? Well, number one, he could feel sorry for her. He could ask her, "Why are you crying? Do you need me to call your parents? Can I help you out?" Or the boy could snatch her bag of candy and run off. Well, both boys, whether it was the one who tried to help or the one who tried to take advantage of the little girl, they had something in common, and that is they could see she was vulnerable. They could see that she was crying. Now, a dark empath or dark empathy is when the boy grabbed her candy, took advantage of her vulnerability. This is a form or a component, I should say, of a covert narcissism, maybe overt narcissism, took advantage of her. Now, that's kind of obvious, right? I mean, the little girl is crying. So I think how much empathy do you need to know this child is having a problem? She's too young to fake it, probably. Well, when we talk about dark empathy, we're digging a little bit deeper than this, and they can pick up on more subtle signs that an individual is vulnerable. And the dark empath will take advantage of those things. Now, a regular empath may also be able to pick up on those signs of vulnerability, but they try to help people when they see those indicators. So what is dark empathy? Well, I looked it up on the internet. You can do the same thing if you want, but this is the definition that I found at psychcentral.com, and it says dark empathy can describe a form of emotional intelligence that allows you to identify the thoughts and feelings of others, then, and this is the key here, then use them for personal gain. You steal the candy. When you display dark empathy traits, your focus is often on how a situation can benefit you and not how it will affect the little girl sitting on the sidewalk, or it says will affect the other person. So let's take a look at this. What is dark empathy? Well, the way that I summarize it is recognizing vulnerabilities without sympathizing, or expanded just a little bit, recognizing vulnerabilities without sympathizing, but to exploit those. People with dark empathy, they see people hurting, or they see people who are vulnerable, maybe not hurting, maybe just vulnerable, and they take advantage of them. Well, what are some examples of that? Well, number one, we talked about the bully, but imagine the bully on the schoolyard ground, and kids are playing games, but he identifies this kid who won't fight back. And so he bullies the kid because, well, that gives him some perverted, demented sort of ego boost. That would be a form of narcissism. Or maybe it is a gossip who is trash talking someone who cannot defend themselves, even though what they're saying about this person is either a flat out lie, or they're taking the truth and they're embellishing it to a point that makes this person look much worse than they really are, for the express purpose of boosting their ego. Or here's another example. A person may be vindictive just so they can pay somebody back. And they see this person can't defend themselves, and that always seems to be the case. They see the person cannot defend themselves, so they take advantage of that to their advantage. Or here's another one. A manipulator may befriend the victim to create an obligation. And by that I mean, here's somebody who is vulnerable, who is gullible, and so you befriend that person. The dark empathetic narcissist will befriend that person so they can make that person feel obligated to them, and then, they always want something, they always want recompense, they always want to get paid back. Well, point number 3 is this. Weakness justifies abuse. That, in my opinion, is a form of dark empathy. I had a friend one time, very frustrated with this guy because we were having a good conversation, and he happened to mention that his teenage son attended a school, I think it was a Christian school, come to think of it, and he was bragging about his son. And it wasn't that his son was doing well academically, because I don't think he was. His son wasn't doing well athletically. because I don't think he was. Well, what was he bragging about? Well, it turns out his son was bullying a kid at school. And he was so proud of his son because this kid who he was bullying was bigger than he was. And he thought that was so cool that his son was picking on this big kid and the big kid would not fight him back. So what he was saying in essence is, if you are weak, well, you deserve to be bullied. I don't know where that logic comes from, but a lot of people think that way. So that is an expression of dark empathy that is so too often obvious in not only psychopaths but narcissists. Number 4 is they will put you on a pedestal so they can knock you off. You know, love bombing. You know, grooming, where somebody will make you feel so good and you think, oh, this is my good friend. So just when you have absolute confidence in this person, they got you. Now they're going to show you who is boss, and they knock you off the pedestal. And then they smirk. That's called duper's delight. They duped you into thinking that they could be trusted, and somehow in their demented mind, they think that's savvy. They think that's smart. Number 5 is this: present as interested in your best interest. All right, so you take an interest in somebody. We kind of mentioned this before, but you take an interest in somebody. We're talking about a narcissist, dark empathy. You take an interest in somebody, but it's not in their best interest. It's in your best interest. So maybe there's a colleague or whatever at the workplace, and the narcissist will say, I'm going to help this guy advance so that he will be my supporter. So you're doing some office politics there. You really don't care about this other person. You're not helping them to be helping them because you like them or because you care about them or because you care about the company. You just care about yourself. That is covert narcissism, sometimes overt narcissism. Number 6, they are manipulators, schemers, and abusers. That's pretty much all there is to it. The opposite is true of genuine empathy. People who are truly empathetic are not manipulators. They are not schemers. They're not abusers. They just care about people. And you can't always tell the difference because covert narcissists are so good at putting on an act. Number 7 is this, and this is where we come to talk about the solution, and the solution is, well, what do we look for? When we want to know what is and what is not a dark empath, a covert narcissist, what I look for is I look for how they treat other people consistently. Now, sometimes the covert narcissist will treat other people with kindness and respect as a way of grooming me or you, of a way of convincing us that they are good guys. So they will play the role of the good guy so they can convince you that they are the good guy, and in so doing, they will treat other people kindly, not because they care about them, but because they're putting on a show. But outside of that, generally they treat others with contempt. And if you see somebody doing that, they're nice to you, but they're not kind to other people, chances are you're dealing with a covert narcissist, and the way that he or she treats those other people, that's how they're going to treat you. 2 rectangles on the screen. Let's keep on talking if you want. All you got to do is click on one of those 2 rectangles and our conversation will continue. But if not, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you all next time.